You've made it this far. Lesson 4. This is where stuff gets real with Nihongo, with Japanese. Remember, there are 3 obstacles to learn Japanese. Number 1, you got to talk like Yoda. Everything's backwards compared to English. Number 2, there's a lot of writing. There's 3 forms of writing. Hiragana, katakana, kanji. That can be tricky. But number 3 is conjugation. In any language, conjugation's rather tricky. So let's go over half of conjugation today. The next video will cover the remainder. So first off, we're going to start with the snowman. All right, so I want you to imagine Japanese verbs fitting into one of these 3 categories. You have only 2 verbs that are irregular. Irregular. What does that mean? That means they don't really have a pattern. There's a pattern for this, there's a pattern for this. These ones don't really fit in a pattern. All right, so what is the pattern? We'll get to that. After irregular verbs, we have ichidan. Ichidan. And we also have yodan verbs. Yodan. Today we're going to cover these 2 parts of the snowman. Next lesson, lesson 5, we'll tackle the fat part of the snowman. Now, why do we use a snowman? Well, it's to help you understand how many of those verbs are. There's only 2 at the top. Let's say there's 300 here and then 3,000 here. Okay, so most verbs are yodan, and you'll know they're yodan because they're not one of these 2. So process of elimination. So irregular verbs are suru, which means to do, and kudu, which means to come. Those 2 are very similar to ichidan in conjugation, but they have some little tweaks which make them irregular, unnatural, their own separate category. All right, so ichidan end with IRU or ERU. All verbs end with U in its dictionary form, okay? So the verb to eat is taberu. Taberu. What type of verb is that? Well, it ends with eru, which is going to make it a ichidan. Okay, let's take another verb. To watch or to see is miru. Miru ends with IRU. Guess what? That also makes it an ichidan. So, if the verb is suru or kudu, you know it's irregular. If it ends with iru or eru, you know it's an ichidan. If it doesn't, like the verb to laugh, ha 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 ha, is warau. Warau, warau, doesn't end with IRU or ERU. It's not suru or kudu, so by default, it's a yodan verb. So we'll learn to conjugate that later. All right, so 3 types of verbs, irregular, ichidan, and yodan. How do you know which one they are? You just know, you have to memorize these 2. You know how these ones end, and then everything else, including a few exceptions you'll learn later, fall under yodan. So let's get cracking. 7 ways to tweak a verb. 7. We call those base 1, base 2, base 3. You see the pattern here? Base 4, hopefully you know Roman numerals here. Base 5, and the last 2 aren't base 6 and 7. It's going to be base te and base ta, because they always end with te or ta. So every single verb in the Japanese language can be tweaked 7 ways. You can tweak it. Now, why do you have to tweak it? Well, in English we might say run, running, ran. We have to tweak it so that it makes sense. Yesterday, my wife and I got on our bikes and we riding 10 miles. And then later on that day, I run 2 miles. See, it doesn't work. We rode, I ran, I'm running. You have to tweak the verb for it to work in the context. That's how grammar is. So we've got 7 different ways to tweak the verb. We're going to start with our irregular verb, suru. Now, suru is irregular, but it's also a very common verb. You see, if there's a noun in Japanese, like a sprain. Oh, I sprained my ankle. A sprain is nenza. Nenza. Well, they don't have a verb to sprain. They just say to do the thing of spraining. So you take a noun and you add sudo to it in a lot of context, in a lot of ways, in a lot of instances, and you get the verb. So you open up a Japanese dictionary to any page, and I'll bet you $100 you're going to find sudo on that page. Why? Because so many nouns can tack on sudo to make it a verb. So nenza sudo is to sprain. All right? So benkyo. Right now you are doing a little benkyo, study. But to do study or to study or studying, you have to add sudo. Benkyo sudo. So sudo is a very important one, so you got to memorize this. All right. Unfortunately, there's no secret sauce. You just memorize it. So base 1 of sudo is she. Base 2 is also she. Base 3 is your freebie, meaning it's always the dictionary form. So go back to that verb to laugh. Ha ha ha. Warao. Base 3 is warao. Base 3 of taberu, to eat, is taberu. So base 3 is your dictionary form. It's the standard form that you already have when you get your Tongo list, your vocab sheet. That's the base 3. Okay, she, suru. Base 4 is going to be sure. Again, work on your pronunciation. It looks like sure, but it's sure. Then we have shio. Remember that line makes it a long vowel, long sound. Shio. And then shite and shita. Remember, base te and ta always end with te and ta. So those are the 7 bases of sudo. Sing it with me. She, sudo, sure, shio, shite, shita. Again, she, sudo, sure, shio, shite, shita. She, sudo, sure, shio, shite, shita. She, sudo, sure, shio, shite, shita. If I can make a fool of myself, you can too. I don't care if there's someone in the next room listening to you scream, she. Just do it. She, suru, sure, shio, shite, shita. 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 Just memorize it. There's no easy way. So, if you were silly with me, you probably have it down already. You're going to forget it in an hour, but review, write it down, take notes, you'll get it. Base 1 of sudo is she, S-H-I. She, sudo. Base 4, sure. Sure it is. Sure, shio, shite, shita. She, sudo, sure, shio, shite, shita. That's it. You just got to memorize it. Now, right now you're probably going, well, what the heck are all these bases for? I know, you're impatient, so I'll go ahead and indulge you. Base 1 is used a lot of times for negative things, like please don't do something, or I'm not doing something, right? But you typically add to it, like base 1 plus naide kudasai. So later on, this could be a video. This could be one of my videos where I just go over please verb. And I'll say, okay guys, today we're going to learn how to say please verb and please don't verb. Now, let's go ahead and start with please don't. Take your verb, put it in base 1, add to it naide kudasai, and now you're saying please don't. So please don't eat. Taberu was to eat. Well, I got to learn how to put it into base 1. Oh, snap, you haven't learned that yet. So let's go to the only one you do know, which is sudo. Please don't study. So to study would be benkyo. Sudo, we put sudo in base 1, which was what again? I can't hear you. That's right, she. So base 1 would be benkyo shi. Then we add naide kudasai. Benkyo shinaide kudasai. Please don't study. All right, maybe I say, please don't study French. I want you to study Japanese. So I could say, Fransugo o benkyo shinaide kudasai. Nihongo o benkyo shinasai. All right, we'll learn the rest of that later, but base 1 plus naide kudasai is don't verb. Now, you're not learning that right now, so you can forget that. Right now, you're learning how to get the building blocks for that. So you're learning the bases so that we can add things to them. Base 2, I could add things like, in a few lessons, we're going to learn base 2 plus tai. That means I want to. So benkyo shi tai, I want to study. All right? Maybe we'll learn base 3 plus na, which is don't. Benkyo suru na, don't study. Right? And then we'll learn base 4 plus ba, which is if. Well, if you study, benkyo sureba. Remember benkyo sure? Sure it was. Base 4 was sure. Benkyo sureba, if you study, you might learn something. All right. And then it goes on and on and on. So we're not learning that right now. We're not learning grammar patterns. We're learning the building blocks for them, which is conjugation. All right? This is for verbs. We're conjugating verbs, action words. So we know how to conjugate suru. Base 1 is she. Base 2 is she. Base 3, suru, sure, shio, shite, shita. That's our 7 bases. She, suru, sure, shio, shite, shita. Memorize it. That's all. A lot of repetition there. The next one is kudu. You're not going to use kudu quite as much as suru because suru, again, is attached to a ton of nouns to make them verbs. Kudu, on the other hand, just simply means to come. Like to come to my party, to come to the dojo. Hey, when are you going to come to Japan? Kudu is to come. So, this doesn't follow a typical pattern because the stem changes, which what makes it irregular. So let's just learn it. Base 1 is ko. Base 2 is ki. Base 3 is kudu. You're so smart. All right, ko, ki, kudu. Then we have kude, koyo. You start to see a little bit of a pattern. Kite, not a kite, kite, and you guessed it, kita. These are the 7 bases of kudu. You just have to memorize them. Everyone always gets these confused, so my little mnemonic, my little trick is koki monster. Koki monster. Not kiko monster, that doesn't even sound close. Koki, always koki, not kiko. So, ko, ki, kuru, kure, koyo, kite, kita. Do it with me now, or you'll never learn it. Ko, ki, kuru, kure, koyo, kite, kita. So these are our 7 bases of kudu, which is to come, which is our second and last irregular verb. It's irregular because it doesn't follow a regular pattern like ichidan and yodan do. All right, so ko, ki, kuru, kure, koyo, kite, kita. Ko, ki, kuru, kure, koyo, kite, kita. That's your homework. Just memorize those so that later on when I say, okay, let's learn base te plus kudasai. Please verb. So dojo ni kite kudasai. Please come to the dojo. And you know how to put it in base te, or you know how to put it in base 3, or whatever it is. Well, I hope you can put it in base 3. That's the dictionary form. All right, so let's go back to suru for a second. Let's imagine we're doing suru right here. She, suru, sure, shio, shite, shita. Now kudu, ko, ki, kuru, kure, koyo, kite, kita. One more time. Ko, ki, kuru, kure, koyo, kite, kita. All right, that's the 7 bases of suru and kudu, which means we have completed the top of the snowman. Check. Now, the second part of the snowman was ichidan verbs. Ichidan. Those are the ones that end with iru, eru. IRU or ERU. So, this one has a pattern. Let's learn the pattern. The pattern is the stem for everything. This one is, we're just going to put dictionary form. DF. So the dictionary form, the straight up, right out of the dictionary. Okay? Then here it's going to be stem plus re, stem plus yo. What do you guess these ones are going to be? You guessed it, stem plus te, stem plus ta. So this is a little easier because it's a pattern. You just follow the pattern. You use the stem for everything, but you just leave it as the stem for the first 2 bases, right? You don't touch it for the dictionary form. You add re, yo, te, ta, which kind of makes sense because when we did suru and kudu, that's how they ended too, right? So we had sure, shio, shite, shita. The difference is the stem changed for suru and kudu. That's what makes them irregular. So what is the stem? You take a verb in Japanese and you drop the last hiragana, which in the case of an ichidan is always ru, R-U. So let's go back to eat. To eat is ta, be, ru. Written in Japanese, in hiragana, it would be ta, be, ru. Now I know you haven't learned this yet, but just know that this is one hiragana, this is another, and this is the last. So you drop the last hiragana to get your stem. So what's the stem? Tabe. So base one of taberu is tabe. Tabe, taberu, dictionary form. Tabe re, tabe yo, tabe te, tabe ta. And that's how it works. So we take another verb. Let's get rid of that cap. We take to watch or to see, miru. Again, we know it's an ichidan because it ends with iru. We get the stem by dropping the ru, which is the last hiragana in this case. Okay, and we get mi. Me. Base one is me, base two is me. Miru, mire, miyo, mite, mita. So easy, I know. If this is confusing you, it's okay. Go back, watch the video again. It'll start to make sense. So, there are 3 categories of verbs. Irregular is at the top. Those are the 2 irregular verbs that the stem changes. Suru, if suru went suru, sure, suyo, sute, suta, it wouldn't be irregular. It would just be an ichidan verb. But it doesn't. The stem changes. The stem is really su in suru. But it goes she, suru, sure. That's the only one that makes sense, right? Suru and sure. Then this one, it's not suyo, it's shio, and it's shite and shita. So because the stem changes from su to shi on sometimes, that's weird. That's irregular. That's why that's an irregular verb. Kudu does the same thing. Remember Koki Monster? So it's not, the stem of kudu is ku, but it's not kudu, kude, kuyo, kute, kuta. That's not it. It's ko, ki, kudu, kude, koyo, kite, kita. It changes from ko to ki to ku. It's got 3 weird stem changes. So that's irregular. That's why those 2 are regular. All right. Ichidan verbs end with iru, eru, idu, eru, and they follow this pattern. Let's do one more. Let's see if you can handle it. Let's do the verb to open. Akeru. Akeru. What's the stem? If you're stumped, I'll help you. Hopefully you're saying it out loud, though. I can't hear you. You got to say it a little louder. Okay. So the stem is ake. A-K-E is the stem. You drop the ru, that gives you the stem. So base one would be ake, ake, akeru, akere, akeyo, akete, aketa. And that's it. That's how you conjugate ichidan and irregular verbs. Now, we'll go over yodan in the next video. So we're going to end with 5 more hiragana for you. All right? So let's get rid of this. Let's just do it. And here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4 gives me ta. Okay? 1, 2, 3, 4. Ta. Now, you want to see a magic trick? I put a couple 10-10s on it, and it changes from ta to da. So, what does this say? Drum roll, please. Ta-da! Okay, so ta and da. All right, next is chi. Chi, we're going to come this way. It looks like a backwards sa. Sa was like this, and sometimes you will see it like this. But if you go the other way, with a little bit of a slant here, so it's not straight up and down, that gives you chi. So, ta, chi. You put 10 tens on chi, and it turns to G. Now, I know you're saying, wait a minute. We already learned she, and she with 10 tens is G. Well, 95% of the time, this is the G you're going to use, but there are certain instances where you're going to use this G with 10 tens. For example, chi is blood, could be blood in Japanese. So if you have a nosebleed, it's not hana is nose. Instead of hana chi, it becomes hana ji. But because it's originally chi, then they would write it with this, right? So when there's things that are chi, but it doesn't work, and they want to change it to a J sound to soften it when it flows with a word, they'll put the 10 tens on that. There's only a few instances where you do that. Anyway, don't sweat that. Ta, chi, tsu. 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 Kind of looks like an ear on the side of a head. So tsu is TSU. All right, tsu. You put 10 tens on tsu, and it becomes zu. And then the same rules apply. 95% of the time, right, here's su, and here is zu. So 95% of the time, this is the zu you will use, but every now and then, you'll change your TSU to a ZU with 10 tens. So, ta, chi, tsu. Next is te, and you want to write it so that this kind of curves back. You see that gap there? You don't really want that. Let's try to write this a little better. So that's te. You put 10 tens on it, and it becomes de. Last but not least, toe. You put 10 tens on your toe, and it becomes do. All right, so ta, chi, tsu, te, to. 10 tens on it, and it becomes da, ji, zu, de, and do. I know this is all over the place, but you're getting it. So, you've learned your basic sentence structure. Blank wa, blank des. That's lesson 1. You've learned likes and dislikes. Nihongo ga suki desu. I like Japanese. Fransugo ga kirai desu. I don't like French. I keep saying that. I took 3 years of French in high school, but you learn likes and dislikes. You learn koko, soko, asoko, doko. Koko wa atsui desu ne. It's a little hot here. Asoko wa dou desu ka? How is it over there? So we've learned a little bit of the here, there, where type of things. Koso ado, we call it. We learned the des box, how to use present, negative, past, all that kind of fun stuff. So, watashi wa sensei deshita. I was a teacher, right? Kanojo wa sensei de wa arimasen. She is not a teacher. Then we learned, now, this lesson, basics of conjugation. 2/3 of conjugation. So remember, verbs have to be tweaked to make sense, to be present, to be past tense, to add different meanings to them. I can take the verb benkyo suru, to study, and I could say, don't do it, do it, I did it, have you ever done it, when I'm doing it. All these different examples have different bases that you're going to use. 7 different bases per verb. We call them base 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, base te, base ta. So we know how to do it for suru and kudu. Suru, it's shi, suru, sure, shio, shite, shita. Kudu, it's ko, ki, kuru, kure, koyo, kite, kita. And for ichidan, it's stem, dictionary form, stem plus re, stem plus yo, stem plus te, stem plus ta. Next video, we'll go over how to conjugate yodan, and then after that, we can actually start teaching you some grammar where you can use those verbs and action words, and then we'll get to adjectives and so on and so forth. So this is how you build your skills in the language, is one lesson at a time, one step at a time. But don't forget, to become fluent, you gotta balance all the spheres. So don't forget, and like we talked about in the first video, you gotta be tuning your ears by listening to actual Japanese. You gotta be making mistakes by practicing speaking, even if you're talking to your pet rock. Ishi-san, sashiburi nae, long time no see, right? And you've got to have that daily goal of vocabulary. Those words that don't stick, remember the shower sheet, right? You stick them up in the shower or in the medicine cabinet so you see those words every day. But you should have a daily goal of 3, 4, 5, maybe 6, maybe 7 words a day to keep boosting your skills. And then with me, learning some grammar that you practice on your own or talking to Ishii-san, you balance that out with the reading and writing, you become fluent. So it's possible. People are learning languages all around the world every day. Babies are doing it, and you could do it too, as long as you don't be a baby and keep watching, keep studying, keep taking notes, and keep working hard. 頑張ってください。そんなに難しくないよ。